Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. And over the past 1 week I've been a little sick, so I took a break from editing and uploading videos on YouTube.
The next station is New Westminster. On the right.
And in today's video, I'm going to share with you my quick afternoon trip to New Westminster by the quayside. So the river market area and the quayside is only about 5 minutes walk from the metro station. It is a very warm winter day in Vancouver. And remember I sketched that giant tin soldier in May before I left Vancouver to spend about 6 months in Montreal. And apparently this is the tallest tin soldier in the world, located here in New Westminster in Greater Vancouver area. The clouds are so beautiful, and actually today I got really attracted by these yellow tugboats. I think I'm going to sketch one of these. And here I am sitting at a picnic table outside a cafe. And I'm kind of spending a minute or two to visualize the size and proportions of everything I want to include. So I know I want to place the tugboat around this area in the middle. Now I'm quickly capturing one man that's walking past by, his side view. And I know his head is aligning on the same level with these tires of the tugboat. So this is how I do an urban sketching with freehand drawing. Yeah, here's another man walking to another direction. His head is also aligning on the same level of those tires on the tugboats. And those tires are so cute. They're kind of like little Cheerios. And keep adding more outlines for the tugboat. A lot of pretty simple and large geometric shapes like rectangles. And here I want to add another man walking happily into the picture on the left. And drawing these poles sort of for anchoring the tugboats probably. And keep adding some more shapes around the middle to the top part of the tugboat. The mast of the boat is a straight vertical line with short little details on there. And now I'm starting to add these windows around this control area of the tugboat and adding a bit of accentuation with denser black lines. And the railing area, this pipe, and now adding these minor details like these smaller windows around the body part of the boat. And drawing those poles and brackets supporting the tugboats. And then I just drew that horizontal line, the division between the tugboat and the walkway. This is the railing area. And now drawing these quick vertical lines, the bars of the railing. And I'm drawing these very quickly and not worrying about capturing every single stick that's there. All right. And add a bit of detail for that pole there, the bottom. And then the bottom of the tugboat behind the railing, and a little overlapping is okay. And keep drawing these cute little Cheerio shaped tires with a very deep shade in the middle and the belt shape underneath. Some quick loose lines to show the cracking paint texture on the poles. And drawing these wooden panels of the walkway. This really helps with perspective of this platform. These lines are trying to merge into a vanishing point somewhere around the left side, around the left of the tugboat. Adding a bit of accentuation of a bit of water and shade underneath the tugboat with dark solid lines. So now the boat, it really looks like it's landing on water, has a bit of density. And drawing these thin ropes attaching the attach boat with the poles. and adding a bit of accentuation around the tire area so they really popped out from the body part of the boat. Now I'm adding this bottom line of the land in the distance and the top area, which mostly clusters of foliage. Some crayons in the distance. There are a couple of cargo ships around there, and using very loose and abstract lines to show the factory buildings there and lots of foliage forms. Adding a bit of ripples around the water area. Some loose organic lines for land. That's it for the line work. Now I'm just adding a title for this page. Yeah, so it's very important for me to write down the location of this place and then the day and the date. So many years later, I'll remember where I sketched this. So it's going to be a really great life and memory. And here's how I am attaching the tripod to the table. Here is a look of my finished line work. It took me about 20 minutes to draw. And now I'm just sitting to take a break for about 5 minutes before moving on to painting watercolors. I'm using Etchr brand watercolors and 2 water brushes. I'm starting with my large tip Holbein Water Brush, which is very watery, great for loose wet into wet techniques, especially for painting the sky. So I just wetted the sky area with clear water by squeezing the Holbein Water Brush. I just grabbed a bit of cerulean blue. So the pre-wetted paper is somewhat diluting this cerulean blue into a more translucent tone. When I'm painting sky, I don't use a very solid blue. The sky is supposed to be really translucent of air. And then adding a bit of lemon yellow mixed with cadmium yellow for the bottom of the sky to show the sunshine fighting through the clouds. It's later in the afternoon, so I see some orange yellows as well, so I blend in a little bit diluted orange. So this area I'm painting right now is the cloud being illuminated by the sunshine. And the separation between the clouds and the sky is not that clear. A lot of times we get a sky like this, we don't see the definite shapes of the clouds. They're very soft. So I'm trying to kind of blend the cerulean blue with the cloud form a little bit, very softly. Adding a bit more cerulean blue for those thin and foreshortened clouds around the horizon because of aerial perspective. Clouds closer to the horizon, they're thin. So for these clouds, I am using the mix of ultramarine blue with a little bit of royal purple. And thin brush strokes using the tip of my brush. Adding a bit more accentuation around the very bottom. Yeah, and I really like the atmosphere that I captured. It's a little challenging, but I'm just kind of relaxed and slowing down, deeply observe what's in front of me. It doesn't need to be exactly the same because the sky is always changing and shifting. Clouds are always changing shape minute by minute, so we can't really capture that exact shape of that cloud and the patch of blue sky. It's okay. I think I really captured the atmosphere. And the sky is done. Now I'm moving on to the water area. So I just wet it with a little clear water and leftover yellow. So the color of the sunshine is being reflected onto the surface of the water. The Fraser River. So that's it for now for the surface of the river. I'm just going to leave it to dry a little bit. Now I'm wetting the walkway area with clear water. So I have a really smooth wash for the color of the wood. This is actually yellow ochre. Mix it with a little bit leftover green because these wood, they're getting a little moldy. And then adding the shadow underneath the tugboat. And when I'm painting, most of the time I don't draw a frame, so The top and bottom, left and right, is actually hanging very loosely, creating a really soft frame itself without drawing a frame with solid black line. And now I'm adding some vibrant cadmium yellow for the top part of the tugboat. And grabbing a little bit of blue for the rim area around the deck. So the yellow part of the tugboat, along with the blue sky behind and the rim, is looking pretty good, because yellow and blue, they are complementary colors, and when they're together, you have a really nice color contrast for your painting. And keep adding some more blues for the poles and brackets around the boat. The colors are actually really nice, and some more purplish grays that I mix with ultramarine blue and a bit of royal purple for the bottom part of the boat, which is almost a black color, but I've never used black. I like to mix my own dark gray close to a black color with blue and magenta or royal purple and a little bit green. And putting some more bluish grays for these poles and for the tires as well. Painting very quickly, so I'm leaving a little white highlights around the ring area of those tires, so they look more three-dimensional. Wet onto wet, a bit of burnt sienna with raw umber. If you look very deeply, the color of wood contains several tones of yellows, oranges, and browns. And this is how we make our paintings look more interesting, is to keep observing and applying more definitions of colors or tones. So the technique by itself is really easy. Anyone could do it, but the process of observing and translating what we see into these definitions is the hardest process. And that's why I'm not really recommending people to copy a piece of art. I recommend people to observe the objects and sceneries around them and start making their own interpretations rather than copying other people's art to learn. And now I am adding the first layer for the land in the distance. It's a mix of yellow and burnt sienna. The muted foliage tone in winter. And then the muted green mixed with viridian green and a bit of burnt sienna, wet into wet. Yeah, so the colors of foliage is really muted in winter. Some little quick brush strokes around the bottom of the land. Some more red browns for those buildings. So far for this painting, I'm using a lot of wet into wet technique, including the sky area, this land area, and the walkway area. Because the temperature here in Vancouver on that day was about, 5 degrees Celsius. It's pretty warm, but the watercolors, it takes a pretty long time to dry in this temperature, so it's pretty easy to do wet into wet. The paint won't dry too fast. And adding a bit of shade for those poles. A little highlight on the left side of those cylinders. And so when the walkway area is a little dried, now I'm able to add these crisp definitions of the gaps in between each wooden plank. Because that's the foreground area and needs sharper definitions. And some more leftover grays in between the tires for shades. Now I'm starting to paint the outfits of these people with more vibrant colors like the reds, red browns, leftover greenish blue. A lot of people these days are wearing black and gray jackets. Okay, so this is very much the last stage of my painting process, just quickly adding the colors and shades for these people's outfits. Also leaving some white areas to show the highlights of their clothing. And a bit of light gray shade for the side of the yellow area of the tugboat. so it looks a little more three-dimensional. That's very much it. So now there's so many seagulls flying by, and I think it would be really cool to add some of these birds in my sketch. Wow, that's a huge number of seagulls. Alright, so this part of the painting process is in real-time speed. I'm really adding some life to my sketch with quick brushstrokes of bluish gray. Yeah, so that's one seagull. This is also like ASMR, as you're listening to the sound of those seagulls while watching me paint. Just grabbing my fine liner pen to add a clearer definition for this bird. And now I'm trying to draw another one looking a little smaller, so I think it's a little pushed back into the middle ground. Yes, I love adding these birds to show movement. And now I'm ready to draw one bird resting on the railing. Okay, so here is the look of my finished sketch. So overall, the drawing and painting took me 45 minutes on location to do. Ooh, so here, as you can see, my workstation today. It's a really great afternoon. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. So I try to update my channel 2 to 3 times a week. See you very soon next time. Have a great day, everyone.